Hello, everyone. I'm the Prophet Michael David, and I would like to wish everyone a happy Passover still for at least one more day, and a happy Ramadan, at least to April 20th. Okay, so I promised in my last video to tell you guys about my reincarnation and talk to you about all the 345 stuff. Okay, so on paper, for lack of a better term, 345 is about Moses. It's also about Mashiach. The Hebrew alphabet consists of 22 letters, not 26. It's 22 letters. They're all consonants, no vowels. The first letter is Aleph. The last letter is Tav or Tau, like I am a Taurus. Each Hebrew letter also conforms to a number as well as a singular concept. For instance, Aleph is also an ox, and it corresponds to God as well. So in conclusion, if you were to add up all the numerical values of Moshe, that's Moses, they come out exactly to 345. 345 is also the numerical value of Shiloh, which is another name for Mashiach by a guy named Maimonides, aka Rambam. We'll talk about him later. And for all you watching that have ever wondered why former President Trump and his enablers have always pushed that 4-5 thing, that 45 is always on the side of those red hats on those NFTs he sold, that he's standing on the 45-yard line, not the 50. This is exactly why. As you can see now, without saying it, they are trying to portray him as the new Moshe, the Mashiach, because he is a messianic figure to them who is the 45th president of the United States. That is their claim. But as you can probably guess by this point, the true Mashiach's relationship with that number has to be much, much deeper, as is mine. As I've alluded to in previous videos, my parents are unfortunately dead. They died in a car crash on February 7th, 2018. They were killed in a head-on collision with a drunk driver. Their car then flipped into the ditch, caught on fire, and exploded like the movies. Just turned them into a bunch of mangled, burnt bones. They died 21 days before, which would have been their 45th anniversary. Needless to say, I did not take it well, but as I'm their eldest child, taking care of all the dead parent stuff was all on me. But I survived. I even thrived, if nothing else, just to make them proud of me. And to do this, and to do all the things I knew that I would have to do, I decided to properly mourn them for an entire year. And so I did. And it helped. And then once I was almost totally done with all my dead parents' work, and I would be able to go on my abbreviated world travels, aka my Gulliver travels that I always wanted to do, unfortunately, a worldwide pandemic came through. And then on February 28th, 2021, as I've stated in my previous videos, I started getting juiced by God, found her a handful of days later, and I became a prophet, and I became obsessed with solving the Riemann hypothesis, which I continue to do. I tried very, very hard for the better part of a year. You'll be able to see so in my work, until unfortunately tragedy struck again. On February 11th, 2022, my ex-girlfriend Angie, my best friend, the person that knew more about me than any other person that's ever lived on this planet, suddenly died somehow. Unfortunately, I wasn't invited to her funeral, and no one really told me how to this day. But as my grandma has said in the past, everybody grieves in their own way. That being said, because of what she meant to me, what she still means to me, I also decided to mourn her for an entire year. Also because she was also my COVID friend. She was the only person that I think I physically touched through all of COVID, or pretty close. So if you all are doing your math, which you should all be doing, Angie died exactly 4 years 4 days after my parents did, in the year that I turned 44, which also means April 11th, 2023, exactly 53 days before Relevation and 60 days before today, was my last day of mourning for Angie. It was my last day of mourning for Angie and the last day of 2 full years of mourning out of the last 5. And this is what happened to me. I'm really not trying to draw this out at this point, but you still need 3 more bits of information for this story. Number 1, after I found out there was reincarnation and I was to be reincarnated as Elizabeth, I wondered who I was a reincarnation from. And so I asked God if I was a reincarnation of a lot of different people. Over the last couple of years, I asked about a lot of people, but not to bear the lead. The top 2 on the list were Jesus and the Archangel Michael. It was Jesus early on because if you guys do the math, day 35 for me in 2021 was April 4th, which was also Easter Sunday. It was also the last day of Passover as well. Later on, it was the Archangel Michael. I asked God so many times, and she told me no so many times that eventually she got angry, and she said something like, "Why would I waste the soul of a being that threw Samael out of the Garden of Eden and Lucifer and the fallen agents out of heaven on a 44-year-old white man from Ohio?" And I was like, that's a good point. So in conclusion, up till 60 days ago, February 11th of 2023, God's stance on my reincarnations were, Michael, you are supposed to be the embodiment of many different people, but you are not the reincarnation of any of them. You are your own thing. And the last bit of information you need to know is because of these things, because of my parents and Angie's deaths, my mother's mother, my grandmother, whom I talk to frequently, sent me a Bible for Christmas 2022 as a Christmas present. And this is my Bible. It's a really nice one, leather bound and everything. And this is my grandma's to Michael Harrison from Grandma Do It for Christmas 2022. I didn't really show you guys to try to prove anything, just to show you my grandma's handwriting. Both her and my mother and myself have really distinct handwriting. It's very runic. So for the first time, both because I was in mourning, because it was such a thoughtful gift, for the first time ever, I started actually reading the Bible. Not very quickly, but I definitely started reading it. And as we all know, the Bible, aka the Torah, starts with Genesis. And from the start of January and up till February 10th, I read through about 39 chapters. And God wants me to point out, because it's part of the next part of the story, that I did not read the Bible at a table or anything. I read it all sitting on the Axis Mundi in front of God like a toddler. So on February 11th, 2023, I decided to sit down on the Monday and read the last of Genesis, however many chapters that may be. I didn't know at the time. It's 50 for all that do not know. I turned my Nikki Heaton Pandora station on my iPhone and started reading. I read all the way up to chapter 48, and then the song came on the station. I'd heard the song before, once, maybe twice, playing video games, but it was very new and I didn't know the artist or the name of the song. So I got up from the Monday and walked over to the phone. And the reason that I did, because there was a specific lyric in the song that instantly made me think of Angie. And the name of that song was Dawns by Zach Bryan. So then I turned off the Pandora station and looked for the lyrics video on YouTube, because if it's on Pandora, it's got to have a YouTube lyrics video. So the first time I listened through the lyrics video, I instantly burst into tears because it reminded me of not only Angie, but my parents too. I put the lyrics video on repeat and walked back over to the Monday and got down on my knees and started reading the Bible in front of God. And I didn't get down on my knees because I was feeling so pious. I got down on my knees because I'd been sitting on my butt for so long that my left buttocks was numb, and it was easier to read on my knees. I then read chapters 48, 49, and 50 of Genesis in the Bible, aka the Torah. And when I finished, with tears in my eyes, I looked up at God and said, Gaia, God, Lord, am I the reincarnation of Yosef, eldest son of Rachel, and son of Jacob, he who is also known as Israel? And for the first time ever, God said, yep. Okay, somehow I'm running out of time again because these videos can never be longer than 12 minutes. So here's what we're going to do in the future. Okay, in the near future, I'm going to be creating a Google Drive and uploading all of the things that I've been doing the last couple of years, including all this documentation that I showed you guys last video, including all my spreadsheets and stuff that I have on this backup drive. This is basically going to be it. You'll be able to download it from my Google Drive. So that's the plan for the near future. And then after that, I will start to try to more cultivate my website, get better on these videos, and then start answering questions, because that's ultimately my job. I'm a teacher. As commanded by God, I would like to add. This stuff obviously does not come naturally to me.